Long ago, in a land far away, many people lived and worked by trading goods. This was a time when travel was often by foot or by animal, and people carried their wares from one town to another. The world was filled with different kinds of items, both common and rare, and there were individuals who made their living by finding these things and offering them to others. Life for many involved moving from place to place, seeking out treasures or useful objects. Merchants would often spend their days searching through markets, talking with travelers, and looking for anything that might be considered special or hold great worth. They learned to recognize quality and value in the many things they saw, always hoping to find something extraordinary. Our story is about one such person, a merchant. He was a man dedicated to his craft, and he knew a great deal about the things he traded. He was known for his careful eye and his understanding of value. Each day, he would review his collection, preparing for his next journey or meeting with customers. Before the important change in his life, this merchant had gathered many fine possessions. He had a varied collection of goods that he had acquired over time, each item carefully chosen for its quality and potential value. His business was stable, and he was content with the many different items he owned and traded. He continued his daily routine, buying and selling, accumulating a comfortable array of various treasures. Then, one day, while he was continuing his search for more excellent merchandise, he came across something truly remarkable. He found a pearl. This was not just an ordinary pearl. It was a pearl of exceptional size, brilliance, and beauty, a pearl of very great value. It stood out among all other pearls he had ever seen, capturing his full attention with its singular splendor. Upon seeing this magnificent pearl, the merchant understood its immense worth immediately. He knew that owning such a pearl would be a defining part of his life. To acquire this special pearl, he decided on a clear course of action. He began to gather all his other possessions, all the fine goods he had collected over many years, and he started to sell them. He sold every single item he owned, from his most valuable treasures to his more common stock. The process of selling everything he possessed was a significant undertaking. It meant letting go of his entire business, all the items he had worked so hard to find and trade. It was a clear decision to part with everything else for the sake of this one, unique item. This required a focused effort to liquidate his entire inventory. After much time and effort, the merchant had completed his task. He had sold every one of his possessions, and he now held in his hands the exact amount of money needed. This moment was the turning point. He now had the means to achieve his goal. His careful and complete effort to sell all his belongings had led him to this point where the acquisition was finally possible. With the necessary funds in hand, the merchant then proceeded to purchase the pearl of great value. He successfully acquired the beautiful pearl. He no longer owned his diverse collection of goods, but he now possessed this one, perfect, extraordinary pearl that had captivated him. The trade was complete, and the pearl was his. From that day forward, the merchant's life revolved around this single, precious item. He no longer dealt in many different goods, as he once did. Instead, his focus was entirely on the pearl. He cared for it, valued it, and understood its unparalleled beauty and rarity. His days were now marked by the quiet possession of this singular treasure. This story teaches us about recognizing true worth. It shows us that when we find something of immense value, something truly important, we might choose to give up other good things to gain that one greatest thing. It highlights the idea of priorities, and how some things can be so important that they change all our other choices. And so, the merchant had what he sought. He had made his decision, he had acted upon it, and he now possessed the pearl. This quiet tale reminds us that sometimes, a single discovery can be so profoundly precious that it redefines everything else. Long ago, in a land far away, where the sun warmed wide, open fields, people lived by the rhythms of nature. This was a time when farming was how most families provided for themselves. Daily life centered on tending to the earth, growing crops, and relying on the land for sustenance. It was a world of simple tools, dusty paths, and hard-working individuals who understood the value of a good harvest. In these ancient times, there were no banks as we know them today. When people had valuable possessions, like precious metals or jewels, they often buried them in the ground for safekeeping. Sometimes, they would bury these treasures in their fields or near their homes, hoping to retrieve them later. But if a family had to move suddenly, or if something unexpected happened, these hidden caches might be forgotten for generations, waiting to be rediscovered. Our story focuses on a farmer, a diligent and ordinary man who spent his days working the earth. He was skilled with his plow and hoe, familiar with the feel of the soil between his fingers, and knowledgeable about the seasons. Each morning, he would rise with the sun, eat a simple meal, and then head out to the fields, where he would labor until dusk. He was a man of routine, dedicated to his craft, providing for his family through his honest toil. On one particular day, the farmer was working in a field that did not belong to him. He was cultivating the land for its owner, turning over the soil in preparation for planting. It was a normal day, much like any other. The sun was warm, a gentle breeze rustled the nearby trees, and the familiar sounds of rural life filled the air. He was focused on his work, following the rows, his mind on the tasks of the day, as stable and familiar as the fields themselves. As he dug deeper into a section of the field, his hoe struck something unusually hard. Curious, he paused his work and began to carefully clear away the soil around the object. To his astonishment, he uncovered an old, earthenware pot, heavy and sealed. Inside, he found something truly remarkable, a collection of valuable items, shining brightly. He immediately understood that he had found a treasure, hidden away long ago, forgotten by its original owner. The farmer carefully covered the treasure again, making sure its location remained a secret. He then left the field and returned home, his mind filled with a new purpose. He began to make plans to sell everything he owned, his house, his livestock, his tools, and all his personal possessions. He was making a profound decision, taking a great risk, driven by the knowledge of what lay hidden beneath the earth in that field. This decision was not an easy one. It meant giving up everything he had worked for, his familiar life, and his sense of security. Selling his home and his belongings required immense conviction and a strong belief in the greater value of the treasure he had discovered. It was a significant challenge, not of physical strength, but of heart and mind, to part with all that was familiar for something unseen by others. The turning point came when the farmer successfully sold all of his possessions. He gathered the money from these sales, a substantial amount, and then set out to purchase the field where the treasure lay hidden. This act demonstrated his deep commitment to what he had found, showing that he truly understood its immense worth. He was now ready to acquire the field, moving from a tenant farmer to a landowner. Immediately following the sale of his possessions, the farmer used all the money he had acquired to buy the entire field. The transaction was completed, and the land, with its secret treasure, now legally belonged to him. He was no longer just working on someone else's property. He was the rightful owner of both the field and the precious discovery within it. Over time, the farmer's life changed completely. With the field and its treasure now secured, he possessed a new kind of wealth and stability. He had traded his previous life for something far more valuable, something that would provide for him and his family for many years to come. The field, once just a place of labor, became a source of great fortune, and his future was transformed. From this story, we can learn a simple but important lesson. Sometimes, when we discover something of true and lasting value, It may require us to make significant choices and sacrifices. It teaches us about recognizing what is truly important and being willing to give up lesser things for something that is far greater and more enriching. And so, the farmer lived with his remarkable discovery, having understood the immense value of what he had found. His story gently reminds us to consider what treasures might be hidden, waiting to be recognized, in our own lives, and what we might be willing to do to secure them. In ancient times, in a land called Galilee, people often gathered near the sparkling waters of a great lake. This was a place where green hills met the shore, and simple villages dotted the landscape. It was a world where much depended on the sun, the rain, and the rich earth, as farming was a way of life for many families. Life in this region revolved around the seasons, the planting, and the harvest. Communities were close-knit, and people often came together to share meals, work, and wisdom. Teachers would travel from town to town, sharing their ideas and stories, and listeners would gather in open spaces, eager to hear new thoughts and lessons about life. Among these teachers was a man named Jesus. He was known for his calm and thoughtful way of speaking. He traveled throughout the land, and whenever he spoke, crowds would gather to listen. Jesus often shared his teachings through stories, called parables, which used everyday scenes to explain deeper ideas in a way everyone could understand. One day, as was often the case, a large crowd had gathered around Jesus by the sea. There were so many people that he stepped into a boat, pushed out a little from the shore, and sat down. From there, he could speak to everyone on the beach. It was a familiar sight, a peaceful setting for learning. From the boat, Jesus began to tell a story about a farmer. This story carried an important idea about how things grow and develop. He wanted to share a teaching that growth depends on the soil where a seed is planted, a simple truth from the world around them. In his story, a farmer went out to scatter seeds in his field. This was the common practice of planting in those days, tossing seeds broadly over the ground. As the farmer walked and scattered his seeds, they did not all land in the same kind of place. The seeds fall differently, landing on various parts of the land. Some of the seeds fell right beside a hard path, where they were exposed and easily picked up by hungry birds. Other seeds landed on rocky ground, where there was not much soil for them to take root deeply. These seeds sprouted quickly, but because their roots could not go down far, they soon withered in the sun. Still other seeds fell among thorny bushes, and as the young plants grew, the thorns grew up around them and choked them, preventing them from producing any grain. These various conditions represented obstacles for the seeds. The main challenge was that only good soil produces fruit. After telling this story, Jesus later explained its meaning to his followers. He helped them understand that the different types of soil in the story represented different ways people might hear and respond to important teachings. This explanation was a key turning point, as their understanding grows, shifting the parable from a simple farming tale to a lesson about how people listen. With this explanation, the immediate consequences for those who heard became clear. Readiness matters. People realized that just like seeds, ideas and lessons need the right kind of environment to grow. Some might hear a teaching but not truly listen, like the path. Others might listen with excitement but not let the idea settle deeply, like the rocky ground. And some might allow other concerns to stop the teaching from flourishing, like the thorns. Over time, this story continued to offer a gentle reminder. It showed that for a teaching to truly take hold and produce positive outcomes, it needs a receptive heart and mind, much like good soil provides a nourishing home for a seed. This idea helped people think about how they welcomed new thoughts and how they allowed them to grow within themselves. The core lesson from this parable is that how we listen and how we welcome good ideas into our lives greatly influences whether those ideas can truly flourish and bring about positive change. Just as a seed needs good soil to grow strong and produce fruit, so too do valuable lessons need an open and prepared heart and mind to make a difference. This ancient story, shared long ago by the sea, continues to offer a calm and gentle encouragement. It invites each of us to consider the kind of ground our own hearts and minds offer to the seeds of good teaching and understanding. Long ago, in lands far away, people lived lives connected to the earth and the seasons. In these times, families needed places to call home. This story takes us to a place where building a house was a skill passed down through generations, a task both practical and important for everyday life. Life then was often simple, yet it held its own challenges. People depended on the land for food and water, and shelter was essential protection from the hot sun, the cold nights, and the sudden changes in weather. A home was not just walls and a roof, it was a safe haven. Among the people, there were individuals known as builders. These were the men and women who understood how to construct houses. They knew about wood and stone, tools and techniques. Every builder faced the same fundamental task: to create a structure that could stand strong and provide lasting shelter. Before any work could begin, a builder had to choose a spot. Some areas seemed easy to build on. The ground was soft and simple to work with. Other places required more effort, needing careful examination and preparation. The normal situation was that a builder would survey the land and decide where the foundation, the very base of the house, would be laid. A teaching was shared among the people, a wise instruction that spoke of how foundations are tested. It explained that a strong foundation would always stand firm. This teaching highlighted the hidden strength needed for any lasting creation, pointing out that what is unseen is often the most important. Following this instruction, the story describes how builders approached their work. One builder chose a patch of soft earth, perhaps thinking it would be quicker and less work. This choice represented a certain kind of weakness in approach, not preparing for future trials. Another builder, understanding the need for deep support, dug down through the loose soil until solid rock was found, and built upon that. Soon enough, the main challenge arrived. Just as the teaching had described, storms came. Heavy rains poured down, causing streams to swell, and fierce winds began to blow and beat against the houses. This was a true test of every structure, making it difficult for any house to simply survive the powerful forces of nature. This moment of fierce weather became a key turning point. The wisdom applied in choosing the foundation now became clear. The house built on the deep, solid rock stood firm, unmoved by the wind and the rushing water. This demonstrated that wisdom in building brings stability when troubles arise. For the house built on the solid rock, the immediate consequence was clear. It remained standing, its walls unbroken and its roof intact. For the house built on the soft ground, the rising waters and strong winds quickly undermined its base. The house shook, swayed, and then fell, collapsing into a pile. After the storm passed, the situation on the land had visibly changed. Where one house had been, there was now only a broken heap, a reminder of its weak foundation. But the other house, built carefully on the rock, still stood tall and strong, ready to continue providing shelter. It had endured. The simple lesson from this story is about making good choices from the very start. Just as a house needs a strong foundation to stand against storms, people need a strong base for their lives. Building on what is solid and reliable helps us through difficult times. This quiet observation about building reminds us that thoughtful preparation and strong beginnings can lead to lasting strength and peace, allowing things to endure long after challenges have passed.